Hello, church family. We are excited for a special daily devotional today. We wanted to mix things up a little bit. We have Ruby here, who is one of our students when I was a youth pastor, I guess it was last year. And she just got back from the world race. She's going to be sharing with us some of the amazing things God has done. And we are excited to have this opportunity to share what God's doing. Even when in dark times, when things are crazy, God's still in the work and he's still doing amazing things. And so, Ruby, can you give us your name, age, and what high school you graduated from?
Yeah, as you said, my name is Ruby. I am 19 years old, and I graduated from Norristown Area High School here in Norristown.
What class were you?
I'm class of 2019.
All right. So what did you want to do, and what did you end up doing when you graduated high school last year?
Well, after high school, I already had a plan of not going to school right away and try to be involved with my church and just expand with God and to learn more. And then, well, you knew that already. So I remember that you texted me towards the end of the year, and not towards the end, like maybe in November. And you were like, "Hey, Ruby, check this out." And I was like, "Okay." And I'm not gonna lie, I actually waited 2 or 3 days before I checked the message. And then I was like, "Okay," and I forgot. And so I went back in it and I checked it. And then I opened it, and it was Gap Year World Race, and I was like, what is this? And then I went back into it, and I read it, and then I felt a sense of peace, and this is where I should go. I need to do this. This is where God's calling me to go. I felt there's a pull to it, and I was like, God, I don't know. And then I saw that I had to raise $16,600, and I was like, I'm not doing this. I cannot do that. That's too much money. There's no way that this can happen. And then I was like, okay, it's gonna be great. Lord, if you call me, you will provide. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know where, but you will. So I was gonna take a gap year, and then go back to school. This the year coming from that. So that was my plan. I was take a whole gap year, but then this came, and I was like, yay. So yeah.
So with the world race, what was it that you were signing up for? And did you say it was 16,000 they had to raise?
16,600 to raise.
Okay. Yeah, because every 18-year-old graduates with that laying around. So what was it that you were signing up for? How long was it? Where were you going? What were you doing?
Well, I was going to go for 9 months, from September to May, like a normal school year. I was going to go to, at first it was just Thailand, India, and Costa Rica. But then Malaysia was actually added last minute, and it was awesome. So I was going to go to go help with churches, to preach, to pray, to do construction work. So it was also that's what the idea was, but we weren't going to know until we got there. But yeah, so it was a mission trip and also a discipleship where you do stuff, but you also get taught stuff and how to build a relationship with Christ. So that was nice, but it was also really hard at the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of money, but you had a great motivation on what you wanted to do. So how were you able to raise that much money, and how did God move in that moment?
Oh, wow. That is a huge testimony in the Lord, because there was a time when I actually was like, I can't do this. I need to give up because that's too much money. And the Lord provided it. It was awesome. So we had a deadline of $5,000. And I was only 2 weeks away from it, and I only had $1,000. And I was like, there's no way I can do this. There's a deadline. I'm not going through it. Everybody is. This is too much money. I can't do this. But then one day I decided to check online for a different program, which is only 2 months, and it's only $5,000. So I was like, this is less money. I can afford this. Well, not really, but the Lord will provide. It's not too much of a reach. But then I remember that I was actually crying. I was like, Lord, I don't get why you were calling me to do this when it wasn't gonna come. And then he said, who do you think I am? I am your Father. I am the Lord and creator of the entire universe. Who do you think I am? And then I was like, I think you are that. You're God, and you're the creator, and you're this amazing, you can provide. And he's like, do you not believe that I can provide for you? And I was like, yes. It was just a battle, and I was praying, and God was like actually like just answering it, and he was like, I got you. Like, I want you to trust me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I went outside, I told my mom about it, and I was like, hey mom, I'm just gonna stay with this because the Lord told me to trust him. And then it was so funny. A week later, a friend of mine, actually, who was also gonna go, but she ended up not going for a bunch of health reasons. She was like, hey Ruby, how much do you need for your for you to reach your deadline? And I was like, I already knew where the question was headed, was going to. So I was like, I can't ask for that. And then she was like, can you just tell me? And I was like, nope, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And then she's like, Ruby, just tell me. And I said, okay, fine, it was $4,000. And she just said, okay, and that was it. And then I was like, okay, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's fine, it's too much money anyways. The next day, she called me and she texted me and she's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hey. She's like, Ruby, by the way, we were praying about it, and my family and I decided to fully fund you. And it was also like $15,000 in that alone. And I was like, no, I can't accept that. We can't, like, no, I can't do that. And she's like, no, we want to do this. And he placed it in our hearts to do this for, like, it's like he gave us the ability to be able to help. So we're going to help. And I was like, no. But then I was in shock. I was like, oh, okay, fine. And then I went outside to my mom, and I was like, and she was folding clothes, and I was like, hey mom. She's like, what happened? I was like, I'm fully funded. Like, I'm gonna get fully funded. And she full on started crying her eyes out. And she was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I was praying for this. Like, this is crazy. And I was like, yes, but my mom, like, mom, this is crazy. And taking the fact that I have not met them at all. I haven't met them yet. They just knew me through online, and they decided to fully fund me. And it was crazy. And then a month later, 2 weeks to a month later, it's been a long time. So it's like 2 weeks to a month later, they came to my house, and they were like, here. And I was like, what? They bought me all my supplies, like my bag, my tent, my everything that I needed. And it was so crazy. My shoes, like everything. And I was like, this is too much. Like, I can't take this. I'm not used to this. Like, I cannot take that much money. And he's like, take it. It did not come from us. It came from him. Like, this is a blessing that he used us to give to you. Like, it's not from us. Please don't thank us. Thank him. And I was like, okay. So it was crazy. So that's how I got fully funded. But it also still had a lot of other costs. So the church also helped me. Like they gave me about $3,000 to be able to get all my vaccines, because that was also so expensive. And I still had no idea where I was going to get the money for all of that, but he still provided from other people. And there also are fundraising ideas, like I did do. That's how I got like the first batch of money. But it was so crazy because that's the first time I think that I ever straight up heard God say, like, trust me. And I was like, this is too much. And he's like, who do you think I am? And I was like, hey. So it was so funny because he's like, I'm not just going to give you what you think I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you so much better. And I was like, I cannot believe that. And it was so crazy. And by the time that I was gone, I was already fully funded. I had everything, all my stuff. I was good to go. And it's just the way the Lord worked, like that's a huge testimony for me. It's like the way that the Lord worked. And he's like, you may feel like you can't do it, but that's the point. You're not supposed to do it. I'm supposed to do it. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you rely too much on yourself. Like, you need to trust me and trust that I can do what I'm supposed to do. And that was just huge. And it was just amazing. I was blown away by that. I did not expect it. I did not think the Lord was gonna do that like that fast. Cause I thought, hey, I'm supposed to wait, but it's like, some people wait and some people don't, but it's his timing, not what people would expect or what I think. It's his timing and what he wants to do. And I tried to trust him, and I was a little scared, but I had to pray, and like, fear does not come from God. So I was like, okay, Lord, I have to just have peace and trust you. And it might be scary, but it's like, I just have to learn to trust you and to allow you to, and allow you to give you the space for you to work, not to use my own strength. So it was just like so cool, and it was awesome. And the way that whole thing worked, it was not expected. But I'm so thankful because the Lord showed me so many things, and he just taught me to, and he showed me how to trust him with every situation, and nothing's too big for him. So yeah, that's how I like ended up getting fully funded, and it was just so amazing.
So, I mean, a huge part of your testimony is just getting the ability to go. So,
Yeah.
leading up to the days up to the trip, how nervous were you? What were you going through those couple days before you had to go and get the training and you were heading off overseas?
Um, it was weird because I've never left home for that long. It was exciting, but it was also a little hard because I was like, I'm gonna miss my family and I'm gonna miss the comforts of my house and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I was so excited to just leave the comforts of my home and just be able to just dig in and just go in for the Lord and not have distractions and just go full in. I know that like the first few days right before and the first few days there emotionally, it can either be really hard or not that hard. It can either like you can either like explode or you can numb yourself for the first few days until like a week or so, and then it hits. So then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not home. So it honestly is a whole roller coaster for me personally. It didn't hit the first few days. I was fine, but then the more days that I woke up in a room in Thailand and not in my room in America, like it was just like, oh wait, what? And then it started hitting, and then I had to really dig into the Lord and be like, Lord, like it's hard, but you called me here. So it was like I just had to find the strength in you. So it was just like I had to just work, get myself together. It was like a bunch of work, and just to get everything together, clean my room, figure out what I was gonna keep, what I wasn't gonna take, how to deal with it, figure out like a bunch of weathers. It was a bunch of things. I read blogs on other people who just left this time, but the year before. Um, so it's like honestly, and I was also so focused on the future that I forgot to live in the present. And I feel like that's something that most racers do struggle with because it's like I'm leaving in 1 month. I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go. I can't wait to go. To the point where either you are so into the present, which is great, or either you are so in the future that you forget that there's still life going on where you're at right there, and you forget to just live that. So it's like for me, it was I forgot to be present. So I was very like I'm excited. I'm just leaving in 1 month, but I forgot to just live with my family and like be there with them. So it can be a huge roller coaster.
Yeah. So, what was it like to be in these other countries? What kind of environments were you in? What was the different foods like? The people?
Um, it definitely was different. In Thailand, they have a culture like a still face culture. I think that's what it's called, where they don't show emotions. They don't. If you fall, they'll just look at you. If you make a joke, they'll just look at you. If you're crying, they'll just look at you and they'll be like, "Why is she crying? She's showing too much emotion. That's just weird." And the food definitely was different. They had a lot of fish in Thailand, and I'm not a big fish person. I do not like fish at all. But in Thailand, we lived in Chiang Mai, and it's like like a touristy place, so there was a lot of American food. So the food wise wasn't too bad. But it was also good because I've never had pad Thai until I got to Thailand, and it's really good. So it was definitely weird. The whole language part, I learned a few words in Thai, and that is it. And I just learned hi and how are you and yes. That's all I learned. And I was there for 2 months. I learned more, but I just forgot already because I haven't been there. So, but it was definitely weird. It was definitely different. They do treat people a little different. It's very much like quiet. I am not a quiet person. I am a very loud like person, and I had to control myself. Sorry, I had to control myself a lot and just be quiet. So it was definitely a different culture than I'm used to. We are very loud people and we are very social people. But in Thailand, they are very much like, leave me in my space and I'll leave you in your space and don't be loud. So it was definitely different. In Malaysia, people there are loud for the most part. They do have still like a still face culture. And I was there for 1 month. And in India, that is a whole different thing. It's so different. With women are treated very, very, very different. They are just supposed to be like, they are definitely less than men, a lot less than men. You do get looked on differently because you're a woman, and me particularly. I Most people in my team, everybody in my team was white besides me. So, and I have brown skin. And I have black hair. So I was treated extra different because of my skin color. The fact that I look Indian, people treated me as if I was Indian. So they did look down upon me as well, more than my other teammates. But it was also, it was like a down thing, but it was also a really good thing because I was able to connect with people, and they would always come up to me and be like, "Are you Indian?" And I would be like, "No," and it would just start a conversation. So it was really good, but it was also a little hard because people would assume that I spoke their language, and if I didn't speak back, they would get mad. But sometimes they'll be interested and intrigued and say, "Why do you look like that?" And they'll ask me questions, and I would be like, "Oh, because I'm Mexican and I was born in America." But that's like, it's like, this other stuff. In Costa Rica, that is kind of how my culture at home is because I am Hispanic. So that wasn't too hard for me at all. They are very social, loud people. It was really nice. They do have different words than I speak in Spanish, but it was nice because I was able to talk to them. Like the fact that I was actually able to talk to them was amazing. The fact that I actually understood like their slang and the way they were and their family things, that was awesome. But I was only there for 2 weeks, so that kind of sucked. But the time there was awesome. It was two testimonies came out of that were awesome, and the Lord really, really got me out of my comfort zone there.
Well, that's a perfect lead. And what were those two testimonies that were great at Costa Rica?
Uh, those two testimonies, I'm gonna summarize that into one necessarily.
Hmm.
So we have a thing called Activation Monday. That was my first ministry there, and it's very much like go out to the city and just build relationships with the people, just talk to them, care about them. That's it. And I was like, okay. And my team and most teams have a translator, but because I was in their team and there weren't enough translators, I was there with them. I was their translator for the most part. But I was like, I can speak Spanish, Lord, so please use that. And there was one guy in particular who passed by, and me and my team were like, we have to talk to him. So we decided to go to a bus station, and that's where he was. And we were like, okay, we got this, we can do this. And then we like, hi, and he completely ignored us, pretend like we did not exist. That was chill. It was fine. But then we were like, no, like, Lord, like, please help us, and I started praying. I was like, Lord, please help us, like, let it be you and not us. And I was like, I have gifts, like I can, like, just the simplicity of the fact that I can speak Spanish, and it's something that I've known my whole life, and I can like talk to them, and I know how they live, and I know who they are. Can you please just allow me to use that? And then this one lady came around, and she sat next to me, and I was like, hola, hi. And then she's like, hi. And then I was like, how are you? And she just went off. She was like, honestly, I'm not okay. And she just went on and told me basically her entire issue, like all of her issues. And I was like, um, wow. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never asked a stranger this, but I'm going to. And I said, can I please pray over you? And then she's like, yeah, yes. And then we waited until the end. She started talking to me about her entire life story, how she did this, and how she went through all of this, and how the doctors are not good, and it's too much money. How she's doing what she's doing right now. It was crazy because she actually had her hand off. Like she had a wrist issue, but she got her whole arm amputated.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, she also has lung issues. She has diabetes, I think, and she has stomach issues. She found her spine is like not okay. She has a lot of pain, and it's her left hand that got, and she's a lefty. No, sorry. Yeah, it was her right hand that got left off, and she's a righty. So she, like, the hand that she uses the most was the one that got hurt. So it was a whole lot of things, and we were there for a whole hour. She kept on missing her bus. It was really funny, and she like she let that happen. she was totally fine with that. So I was like, okay. And then after that, I was like, great. Can I pray over you at the end? And then she was like, yes, please pray over me. And I got to pray over her in Spanish and where she could understand me. So it was just like perfect. And then at the end, she gave us a hug and she said ciao, which means bye. And then she like missed it again. So she stayed for like 5 more minutes. And then she's like, I can see something in you four, because there was 4 of us. She's like, I just see just love and humility, and just a love that I have not seen in so long. She's like, I can see that you guys are like kind people, and it was just so amazing. And I was like, that's not me, that's the Lord. But it was just so great, and I got to pray over her, and that for me is a huge step because I have never prayed over a stranger before. I always wanted to, but I've always been so scared of what other people might think. But I was like, no, like I'm not gonna be scared. And the Lord just went, like he was there, like he was just there, and it was so sweet. And I got to pray over her, and she wasn't Christian too, so that was like a whole thing, like the fact that she wasn't Christian and she allowed me to pray over her in the name, like with God. It was just awesome. That's probably like my latest testimony. The other testimony is I also had to pray over somebody else. But there was a few testimonies, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Yeah. So looking back at this trip, what did you learn about yourself and God through this experience? I know you mentioned earlier about just having to trust him to provide, but once you were in the field and once you were out there away from your stability and the safety of your home and eating weird exotic foods, like what did you learn about yourself and God through that part of the trip?
I've learned that I love music. That's something that I do enjoy very much, and I love worship. But I also learned other passions of mine, and I learned what it's like to just there's so many things that I learned. One of the things that I learned involving just me and him, like not anybody else, it's to learn to just sit still, because I will like ask like, Lord, can you please tell me this? And he wouldn't tell me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to know. But then after a while, he's like, I want. And one day, I was mid race, and I was in India, and I was freaking out, and I was like, Lord, like I'm freaking out. I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on. My fam, like I was not. I was probably like in a low moment, and I was like, what's going on? And I went outside and I just prayed and I cried, and I was like, Lord, like what's going on? And he like straight up said, wait. And I said, that's what I've been doing the whole time. And he's like, no, I want you to wait for my answer. Like, just stay still and wait and trust me. And I was like, okay, I will stay still and trust you. And that was one thing that I learned involving me and him. And the other thing that I learned involving me, him, and like everybody else was my passions. And I realized that I enjoy preaching. I am still not the best at it. I do stutter a little bit when I get nervous. So I'm still a little nervous about it. But there are moments where we would go to a school, a school, and they would just on the spot be like, do you have a message? And I'll be like, no, I wasn't expecting that at all. And then it was so awesome because we were in a school particularly, and I was just reading Psalms 139 because I was going through a lot of personal stuff and a lot of insecurities, because it does also happen on the race, because you can't buy anything, you can't like fix yourself, like it's kind of like it's just simple insecurities that can easily be fixed, but you really have to trust in the Lord. But anyway, that's besides the point. I was reading Psalms 139 that talks about trusting him, and that he knows everything before it even happened, and that you were wonderfully made and all this other stuff. And they said in front of like 200 kids, like, do you have any message in front of us? They just asked us, and we were all like, we were not expecting this. And the Lord straight up was like, Psalms 139, I want you to talk about it in front of all of them. And I was like, no, I can do this. I don't know them. They barely understand English. And he's like, trust me, go. And I did. And I reread through it, and I just started speaking, and I just let him work. And it was awesome. And all the words just flew out of my mouth. But it wasn't me, it was him. And it was just like so cool. And I also got to preach in the rehabilitation center. And and on the 40-minute walk there, I had one Bible in my hand and the other one in the other, and I was just reading through two different versions. And he was like, "I want you to preach on that." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was on the way there. And the moment we got there, it's like, "Hey, a devotional time," and I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "I'm not ready," but the Lord was like, "Trust me," and I was like, "Okay." And it was just so cool, like how I was able to just go up and just speak in front of these people, and just just speak the word of God over them, and it was all Him. So I enjoyed that so much. So it was just like there's so much trusting in Him, and just like just biggest thing is trusting Him, and just allowing Him to work and not me to work.
Mhm. So with the coronavirus and the world being on quarantine, the end of the race didn't quite end out the way that you had hoped. How are you handling having to come back early?
Um, it was definitely hard. That's probably one of the hardest things. Surprisingly, it was one of the hardest things because it not surprising. It was one of the hardest things. We actually, a week before coming home, we found out that another squad who lived in India and in Thailand and Cambodia, I think they left already. I don't remember which one of those, but then they left home, and we were told that because we're in Costa Rica, we were in the safe zone. Like there was still not one case in Costa Rica,
Mhm.
so we were good. Everything was great, but then within the next 4 days, there was already 20 cases there, and we were like, "No, we're going home." And then they called us, and they're like, "You guys are fine. You're okay. You are in a safe place." But then later that day, we actually, it was a really hard day. Me and my team member and another one of us went to the cafe to get Wi-Fi because we don't have Wi-Fi where we lived. And then we got a message, and it said, "Unfortunately, because of the borders closing, yada yada, we are sending all of our racers back home, all of them, semesters 11 and 11 and gap year." And I wasn't shocked. I cried, and I was in public, and I was just crying. I was like, "I don't want to leave you guys. You guys are my family now. Like, I can't leave you guys. We've only been here for 2 weeks, and this ministry is just awesome. The people that we met here is so cool. We were working in schools and in human trafficking place. It was just amazing, and we had like this best just kind of we were living with like the best people ever, and we just loved each other so much, and we were just growing, and things were just happening. And it's too crazy. Like, I don't want to go home to a place where everybody is in panic, and we were scared. We were like, what are we gonna do? Some people were happy because they were gonna go home to their families at this time, but most of us were happy that the fact that we were gonna go home, but we were still like, we're not emotionally ready to go. Like, we were supposed to leave in 2 months, not in 2 weeks. So we were like, what's going on? And it was just, and then we found out, hey, in 3 days we're leaving, and we're gonna have a 2-day debrief in Georgia. And then I bought my plane ticket, and I was not okay. I was like not ready to go home. And then we had to say bye to people that we had to say bye to everybody that we just met, and these amazing people. And then after that, they just told us, "Hey, by the way, we have to get there sooner because borders are closing down. We can't America America's just not okay. Everybody's like closing borders, patrol, like it's just not okay." So we were like, "Oh my gosh, so we're not gonna have debrief." Like, what? And it's like, "We're leaving. You get there and you go home. Like, we can't debrief this. We can't process this because it's just too much going on." And we were like, "Okay." And then it was weird because we had a curfew on the road race, and we had like a bunch of rules to keep us safe, which is okay. And then having to come home to the same, so many so many rules. And then on top of that, our families are not okay. They are in panic. Our country's not okay. We come here and people wearing masks, and stores basically empty, and no cars outside. No, like, parks are closed. Like, what? I can't even leave my house, and I can't even say hi to people who I miss. Like, I can't do this. It's just too hard. And then it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't process this. We did not have time to process this. We just got here, and now I can't leave my house. I come straight from the airport, and I have to sanitize myself to make sure that my little brothers don't get sick. And the last day in Costa Rica, I actually got a bit of a glimpse of it because we went to Walmart and everybody was like getting everything from the shelves. And because they were closing borders down, and we're just like, what's going on? Like, I just didn't know how to react because I was gone for 7 months, and then the moment that I stepped back into America, it's like chaos everywhere. And it's understandable chaos, but it's just like so much chaos, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I just went from a country where everything's fine to being to my home where everything's not fine. People have been in quarantine for 2, 4, 3 days. Everybody losing their jobs. There's no food. I don't know what to do. I can't go out. I can't go to the park. I can't meet my friends. Like, I don't know what to do. So it was definitely hard. I am getting used to it, like in the sense of I have to like not deal with too many things. Like I just have to be present and just process it with just me and him and talk to my friends who I live with on the phone and see how they are. So I'm really happy that I have the technology to be able to call people that I've been with for the last 7 months and be like, how are you guys? And we just talk through our issues out, and we're like, I'm not okay. I really miss you guys. I miss Costa Rica. I miss the family that I had. I'm home. People are freaking out. What am I supposed to do? So it was definitely a hard transition and a very rapid one. And we are the first year who ever has had to leave the race early, has never processed it. And people who come home from 9 months and process it, even they still have a lot of struggles. And we did not have time to process it. We did not have time to just go through everything. Like, so much happened, and I still think it was a dream sometimes. It's like I was literally in a different continent for 6 months of my life. Like, what is that? And now I'm back home where I can understand everybody, and I can go and I'm supposed to be able to go to the store. I'm supposed to be able to be alone. I'm supposed to be able to go out and walk. I'm supposed to be able to go out after this time. But my state has a curfew. All stores are closed. I can't even go to the store. I can't go to the mall. I can't, like, it's just, I never expected to come home like this for this particular reason. It was hard, but there's like this song that helped me a lot that says, I lean on my own understanding, but I trust in Lord. Like, I don't understand what's going on, but I have to just trust him because my hands are with him. Like, it's like my life are in the hands of the heaven, like of the creator of heaven and earth. Like, that's who they are. And it's confusing, but he is giving us a lot of peace during this time. He came through a lot with financial stuff, but now he's really coming through with emotional stuff. And it is hard from being away and then coming home. Like, I was away with people my age and I had no kids in the house. And now I come home and I have siblings running all over the house. I have nobody else my age here. I didn't expect it to be too overwhelming, but that was overwhelming the first few days. And like my brother and sister, all they wanted to do was be with me because I was gone for the last 7 months. But all I wanted was space, like just space to be able to process it all. But I had to balance that out to not be rude to them and make them feel like I don't want to be here, but also be here and like love on them and treat them well. So that was definitely a hard transition. But I can say that right now I am dealing with it the best I can. And I'm okay. Like, I'm happy to be home now to the situation where I can have an input. I can help my siblings and I can help my mom. So that we don't all leave the house to get groceries. And it's just like they can leave, and sometimes I will go to make sure that not the kids stay home. So it was definitely scary, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you left the country to go into the mission zone, but then when you returned, you entered a new mission zone. And at least with one, you were able to prepare and they were able to guide you into it and what to expect in the countries. But this last month, nobody was ready for this. I mean, the word that everybody has been saying, this is unprecedented ever. And with technology being the way that it is, information is so readily available that we're getting updates before we have a chance to react to the old updates.
Yeah.
It's just exhausting. It's mentally, emotionally, physically exhausting. And we're 2 weeks into this quarantine, and yet we have no end in sight. But I mean, everything that you've been sharing, your whole testimony these last 7 months, it reminds us that God is still in control, that we can still trust him. And that means even at home, like even when our safety net is struggling and being pulled tight, like God's still there to protect us from hitting the ground. So with everything that you've gone through, have you had a chance yet to look what you want to do come the summer or this fall once the world gets back to regular, or?
um, Kinda, but not really. I had a plan when I was gonna get home from Costa Rica. Like I had a whole plan. Like I'm gonna go this. I'm gonna go visit my colleges. I'm gonna get my license because I know I'm 19 and I know how my license. That's really bad. But I was planning on getting that. And just exploring and trying to get. And I was trying to get a job. And now it's like all of that. Like all my plans were just crumbled. Like they're like, you can't get your driver's license. All DMVs are closed. You can't get a job. There's so many people who have already lost their jobs. And it's like you can't go out and just go. You can go and visit colleges because campuses are closed. Like it's just all the plans that I had are now shut down. So I really have no idea. I really with the world race, I've learned I can have bigger plans, but the Lord at the end of the day will get his plan through.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to trust him with that because I have no idea. But I'm gonna take one step at a time, and I will have an idea, but I don't have one quite yet, but I will have an idea, and I'm just taking one step at a time and just letting him guide my every step. Like it's okay if I only know the one step in front of me. He knows the next 100. So it's like, it's okay right now. It's okay always, but it's like, particularly right now, the fact that we don't know when all this is going to end. We have no clue. I just have to like take the first step and allow him, and he has a map, and I just have to take the next step. And I have no plans, honestly. I do plan to go to college in a year, but I still have no idea where, kind of, and what exactly. So I'm letting him tell me later if he has to.
Well, we definitely have time to wait and just take it one day at a time. So would you recommend to others World Race based on your experience?
I would recommend it. It definitely was not what I entirely expected. As I said, like it was a disciple mission trip. I honestly thought it was going to be more mission trip than a discipleship, but it was both evenly. We had sessions. We had time where we like had individual time where we had to do certain things. We had to do Bible project. We had team time every day, which is a time where you get together with your team and every day is different. It's like every day of the week is different, but it's every week. So it was definitely also discipleship, but it was also mission field. And one of the things that I learned with that is one of the things that I would definitely give advice to other people is like make your own ministry, because they do have like ministry from, sometimes it was from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sometimes it was from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sometimes it was only an hour. Sometimes it was just praying. Sometimes it was just walking through the streets and just praying. And it was just like from this to time. But sometimes you had to build your own friendships. You have to build your own relationships. You have to do your own goals, because World Race will get you there and will give you a hourly ministry, but it's also up to you to create your own ministry. So it's definitely, I do recommend it. It's not perfect. The World Race itself has issues like any other organization, and you will have to battle with that sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. I do recommend it. It is a lot of hard work. Once you're there, it is a lot of hard work. You may be living in Costa Rica where I had a warm shower and a bed, a comfy bed, and a backyard and a mountain view and AC and internet. Or you have to live in India where you have to sleep outside in your tent, in a room in your tent, and there was one shower for 40 people. There was no warm water. It was like 50 degrees outside, and the water will run out on you. So sometimes you had to shower every 3 days and be cold every night. And you would have to not, and people would look down on you because you're a woman or because you're just not Indian. So definitely you would have to you have to learn to just be to have perseverance through it, because there are moments when it will get really, really tough. And there are moments where you will be screaming of joy out, like screaming like crazy. So I do recommend it, but it will have its bad things and it will have its good things. But at the end of the day, I have to remind myself that I am here for for the Lord and not for my own comforts and not for my own desires. It is something that I wanted to do, but you're not always going to do what you want to do. It's what He wants to do. And one of the things that I had to remind myself a lot when I did not have a comfy bed and I did not have a heat and I did not have warm water and I did not have food that I liked. India was probably India was the hardest 3 months ever on the race. We had to eat curry every night, noodles every afternoon. And the food it wasn't bad. It just wasn't what our taste buds like.
What were you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it is hard sometimes. It sometimes will not be that hard. And sometimes you're gonna have to struggle with everybody there or with or with God. Because He will put things in your path that are hard, but He will not forsake you and leave you there by yourself. He will definitely be there right there next to you. So I do recommend it. I learned so much. It was one of the best 7 months, and I met some of the most amazing people in the world. It will also with them, they're all so different, and they're from all over the world, all over the country. Some are from outside of America, but for the most part, they're all from all over the country. So your personalities will clash, and you have to be intentional with it. Like, you have to work hard to be a loving and intentional family, because it will get hard. But once you reach halfway, you're like, it's hard, but that's like my sister, and I love her so much. So yeah, it's tough, but you will have to have a lot of patience and a lot of flexibility, because one day you wake up in the morning and it's like, we're leaving for ministry in 1 hour, everybody get out, we have to go. But sometimes it will be like, they said they were going to be here at 8, but it's 10, what's going on? So, and sometimes they'll be like, hey, ministry was canceled today, we're just going to pray all day. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be really flexible, really patient, with not just with the leadership and with God, but with the people that you're living with, because they are also having their own issues and struggles with. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those are all good lessons for anybody that's willing to pursue what God has for their life. And if God has given you a passion or desire, He's going to call other people to be a part of that. And so you need that family in order to do something bigger than what one person can do. So, Ruby, we're so glad that you were able to join us today. And we know that your story will be a blessing to many others. We're going to throw it up on our YouTube, our Facebook page, and we'll include it in our email. So you can feel free to snag it from any of those areas. If you'd like, I can send you the file as well. We're glad you're safe. You're back. Make sure that you keep washing your hands. That's what they tell us. So I've gone through a bottle of hand sanitizer this week alone. But,
us too.
Yeah.
In the car, in the rooms, everywhere.
Yeah. And I mean, at this time, I just keep encouraging people to pull out the old-fashioned idea of sending out letters to people, sending out cards, call up those people that you haven't talked to in a while. Go through your Facebook lists or your Instagram lists and just start messaging people saying, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing with all the boredom? And when we do that, we are the church. So Willow Grove Baptist Church, we're excited that you guys were able to tune in here. We hope that you can join us this weekend. We have men's group Saturday morning, followed by women's group, and youth night this Sunday. We'll be doing dad jokes. So we do need our youth to sign up. Guys, we hope you enjoyed this, and leave some comments and likes, recommend, and hopefully you guys are appreciative of this. And we know we are. Ruby, keep doing what it is that God calls you to do. He has an amazing plan for your life. And we're excited to see what this next chapter is going to bring. We're also all very excited for when this quarantine ends and we can get back to life. So, all right, guys. Till next time. Take care.